You don't choose them, not consciously. But somehow, your heart keeps drifting toward the ones who don't know how to stay, the ones who arrive like a wave and recede like a ghost. They pull you in with their silence, their mystery, their soft, unfinished sentences that leave you aching to fill the gaps. You crave connection, depth, the kind of intimacy that doesn't make you flinch. You want someone who looks at you and actually sees you. And yet, again and again, you find yourself loving someone who is only half here. Their body is near, but their heart is locked away, and you're holding the key, desperately trying to fit it in. You wonder what you did wrong. You wonder if you're too much or not enough. You wonder why your love never seems to be enough to make them stay. And I want to tell you something, gently, softly. From one soul to another, it is not your fault. It is not a flaw in your spirit. But it is a signal, a pattern, one that lives deep in the folds of your subconscious. One that learned long ago that love meant reaching. That love meant effort, silence, waiting. The men you attract are not accidents. They are mirrors, reflections of a frequency you didn't know you were radiating. Not because you're broken, but because you are still healing. Your soul is wise, unbelievably wise. It keeps bringing you these echoes not to punish you, but to awaken you, to bring light to the forgotten corners of your heart where an old story still lives. The story that says, I must earn love. The story that says, if I work hard enough, they'll stay. The story that says, if I can just be perfect, they won't leave. But darling, you were never meant to earn love. You were meant to remember it, to return to it, to become it. Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You keep calling it bad timing. You keep calling it his emotional issues. You keep calling it your mistake. But it isn't fate. It's frequency. Your nervous system, shaped by old emotional wounds, now recognizes inconsistency as familiar. It confuses longing with love. It confuses distance with desire. So when someone shows up and makes you question yourself, your body lights up. Your mind calls it love. But real love doesn't create chaos inside you. Real love doesn't make you second-guess your worth. Real love doesn't vanish when it gets close. So ask yourself, gentling, when did love begin to feel like waiting? When did it start to feel like a test? Go back there, if you can, to the first moment someone important made you feel unseen. To the moment you decided love was something you had to win. And feel that, not to drown in it, but to release it. To look it in the eye and say, you no longer lead me. You are not here to repeat a wound. You are here to rewrite it. These unavailable men, they are not your soulmates. They are your soul mirrors, showing you every place where you have left yourself. Every time you silenced your needs. Every moment you accepted crumbs and called it a feast. They are the storm. But you love, you are the anchor. You are not here to beg for breadcrumbs. You are here to remember the banquet already within you. So let's begin. Right here, place your hand on your heart. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and whisper, I am safe in my own love. Again, I am safe in my own love. Because that's what this is about. Safety. Not sparks. Not adrenaline. But peace. The kind of peace that doesn't leave you wondering. The kind of peace that doesn't vanish after 3 perfect dates. The kind of peace that feels like still water beneath your ribs. You've been taught to confuse love with adrenaline, with anxiety, with what if and if only. But your soul is tired, not from loving, but from proving, and you don't need to prove anything anymore. You are enough in your softness, enough in your stillness, enough in your presence. This pattern is not your shame. It is your portal. It invites you into a deeper relationship with yourself, into the truth that love doesn't live in the chase. Love lives in the breath that says, I am whole, even alone. So take space. Write a letter to the version of you who kept waiting at the door. Tell her she can come inside now. Tell her she doesn't have to wait anymore. Visualize her, seal her. The little girl who asked again and again, "Why won't they choose me?" Tell her, "I choose you," over and over, until the choosing becomes natural, until it feels like breath. You are repatterning your life with every choice to turn inward. Every time you stop the spiral. Every time you sit in silence instead of sending one more message. This is how you change your vibration. This is how you become magnetic, not by chasing, but by becoming the energy of the love you desire. Feminine magnetism is not a strategy. It's a frequency, a soft power that says, "I know who I am, and I will not abandon myself to make you stay. You're not too much. You're not too sensitive. You're not asking for fairy tales. You are asking for what you were born knowing." That love is truth. That love is presence. That love does not hide. And yes, sometimes it hurts to admit that what you wanted wasn't love. It was a lesson, but you can bless the lesson. You can honor the pain, and still say, "Never again. Never again will I betray myself to feel chosen. Never again will I shrink my needs into whispers. Never again will I make room for someone who cannot hold me fully." You are not broken. You are breaking open. You are not hopeless. You are healing. And there is so much beauty in this unfolding, in the remembering, in the rebuilding. So if today you are grieving someone who couldn't stay, do not grieve in silence. Grieve in truth. Grieve as a sacred act of release. Then rise, slowly, gently. And remember, you are not here to be an option. You are not here to beg. You are not here to dim. You are here to burn bright, to be deeply, wildly loved. First by you, then by someone who sees what you always knew, that your heart was never the problem, only the direction it kept giving itself to. So come home, love, back to you, back to softness, back to truth. That is where the real love begins. There's a quiet moment between heartbreaks, not quite grief, not quite freedom, just stillness. A pause where you sit with your thoughts and wonder, why do I keep ending up here? Why does it always begin with hope and end in silence? Why do I feel more alive in the longing than in the love itself? And if you listen closely in that stillness, you'll hear something deeper than blame. You'll hear the echo of a pattern. It's soft, subtle, but it's yours. And it's been running the show. Because the truth is, we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are, what we believe, what we've normalized in the name of love. So when you find yourself drawn, again, to the man who doesn't fully choose you, to the man who's half in, half gone, to the man who's too broken to see the beauty standing right in front of him, it isn't proof that you are unworthy. And now, you're here, not at the beginning, not at the end, but somewhere sacred, in the quiet space between who you were and who you're becoming. You've peeled back layers. You've held your wounds like offerings. You've stopped blaming him. You've stopped blaming yourself. And maybe, just maybe, you've begun to understand it was never about chasing him. It was always about returning to you. The version of you that doesn't beg to be chosen. The version of you that doesn't stay hungry at someone else's empty table. The version of you that doesn't confuse silence for mystery or distance for depth. You've looked into your past and seen the shadows. The little girl who thought love was something to earn. The woman who mistook cows for chemistry. The heart that made room for men who had none to offer in return. But listen closely. Even pain repeated is a kind of prayer. It shows you what you believe. It mirrors your frequency. And it tells you, in whispers or screams, what you are still carrying. That's the truth of energy. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. To the vibration you breathe into the world. To the story that hums beneath your skin. To the emotion you still sleep beside at night. So if you're attracting men who are emotionally closed, distant, unavailable, it's not your fault, but it is your mirror. A mirror asking, where have you been emotionally unavailable to yourself? Because it starts with you. Do you abandon your own heart when it needs holding? Do you silence your needs to keep the peace? Do you stay when your body begs you to leave? Do you crave validation more than you crave truth? Because love, real love, requires presence, and presence begins within. The emotionally unavailable man you keep calling in, he's simply echoing something unhealed inside you. It's not punishment. It's pattern, and all patterns can be rewritten. Let's go deeper. The mind protects, but the body remembers. And so many of us are walking through life holding emotions we never named, guilt we inherited, shame we absorbed, fear we normalized, and those frequencies, unspoken, unseen, become the blueprint for our attraction. If you were taught that love was unpredictable, you may confuse inconsistency with intensity. If you were raised to believe your feelings were too much, you may crave people who don't feel at all. If you only received breadcrumbs, you may see a feast in famine. But now you know better. And because you know better, you feel differently. And because you feel differently, you begin to attract differently. This is how healing works. Not all at once. Not in grand declarations. But in soft, sacred shifts. In the pause before you text him. In the way you choose solitude instead of settling. In the way you finally ask yourself, is this what I want, or is this what I'm used to? That question is your doorway. And as you walk through it, you begin to rewrite the script. You stop needing someone to chase you so you feel worthy. You stop seeing your softness as weakness. You stop performing for love and start embodying it. You become magnetic not because you're trying to be, but because you're finally full of yourself, of your truth, of your divine feminine energy. And the moment you vibrate differently, everything shifts. Unavailable men lose their power, not because they've changed, but because you have. You see it now. You feel the disconnect. You spot the red flags before your heart gets dressed for war. You don't need the cold anymore to appreciate your own warmth. You don't need the chase anymore to remember your worth. You don't need his Maybach when you've given yourself a yes. This is alignment. This is what it feels like when your subconscious finally catches up with your spirit. This is what it looks like when you step out of survival and into self-honoring. So what do you do now? You live, but differently. You choose men who are available, starting with you. You listen to your intuition the first time, not the fifth. You practice presence. You prioritize peace. You journal not to figure him out, but to understand you. You close your eyes and visualize the relationship you deserve, not the one you've settled for. You start each morning with a question, what would a woman who feels emotionally safe today? And then you answer it. With your breath, with your silence, with your boundaries, with your self-devotion. You let the past be a place you visited, not a place you build your future. You see the unavailable man not as the villain, but as the messenger. He came to show you your own absence. He came to show you the ache you buried. He came to show you what parts of you were still unloved by you. And now that you've seen it, felt it, named it, you're free. Not perfect, not immune, but free. Because you finally know you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And when you are available to yourself, fully, gently, honestly, you call in those who are available to meet you in that same depth. No more guessing games. No more mixed signals. No more trying to earn affection from men who don't even know how to receive love, let alone give it. You're done with the almosts, the emotional vagueness, the men who need you to shrink so they can feel big. You are not a rehab center for broken men. You are not an emotional translator. You are not here to pour all your light into someone who keeps running from the sun. You are here to be seen, held, respected, chosen by you first. That's the sacred reversal. That's the shift in frequency. That's the new blueprint. And from this place, love won't feel like a question. It will feel like a homecoming. So, when he comes, the one who is available, emotionally clear, energetically grounded, spiritually aligned. You will not doubt it. You will not sabotage it. You will not confuse it for boring or strange or too easy. Because by thing, you will have healed the part of you that was addicted to the absence. And you will finally be ready not to lose yourself in someone else, but to meet yourself more fully through the sacred mirror of love. And that, my loving, that is the beginning, not of a romance, but of your rebirth. It is proof that something within you still equates tension with tenderness, that a part of you still feels safer in uncertainty than in vulnerability. That love, somewhere in your memory, was a thing to earn, not a thing to receive. This is not a flaw. It's a frequency. And you learned it before you ever had the words to explain it. Maybe as a child, you reached for love and sometimes it reached back and sometimes it didn't. Maybe you became good at reading moods, managing energy, performing peace. Maybe the love you were given came wrapped in conditions. Maybe the first person who held your heart also made you question its worth. And so now, even as a woman, you still chase the familiar. You say you want emotional availability, but your nervous system craves the unknown. You say you want consistency, but you find yourself magnetized to mystery. You say you want depth, but you confuse depth with intensity, with fire, with chaos. But love doesn't have to burn to be real. It doesn't have to hurt to feel meaningful. It doesn't have to leave and return and leave again just to feel alive. You're not addicted to pain. You're addicted to the hope that pain will transform, that this time the story will end and differently, that this time you'll be enough to fix him. But my love, you are not here to fix. You are here to feel, to receive, to be met. And that starts not with him, but with you. Ask yourself, where have you been emotionally unavailable to your own self? Where have you bypassed your intuition just to hold on to potential? Where have you abandoned your boundaries just to be chosen? Where have you stayed too long in places your soul begged you to leave? That's where the pattern lies. Not in him, in you. And that's not blame, that's power. Because if the wound is in you, then so is the key. You don't have to become colder. You don't have to play harder to get. You don't have to contort yourself into some perfect version of femininity. You only have to come home, to your body, to your truth, to the version of you that knows what she needs and will not abandon herself to get it. The healing begins when you stop asking why he didn't stay and start asking why you let him go so deep when he never truly arrived. Healing begins when you stop romanticizing confusion, when you stop dressing up crumbs as a feast, when you stop mistaking your emotional labor for intimacy. Love is not earned through exhaustion, and the ones who require you to prove your worth will never be the ones who can hold it. You are not hard to love. You've just been loving people who are hard to reach. Because on some deep, unspoken level, you've believed that your love must be powerful enough to fix them. But real love doesn't ask for that kind of sacrifice. Real love doesn't feel like you're fighting for air. Real love does not require that you set yourself on fire just to light someone else's path. You don't need to work that hard. You don't need to over-explain. You don't need to prove that your softness is valuable. You don't need to fight for love. Love doesn't fight, it flows. And if you've never felt that, it's not because it doesn't exist. It's because you've been tuning your heart to the wrong frequency. You've been reaching for someone who doesn't have the tools. You've been pouring from a cup you never filled. You've been trying to manifest love with a broken compass. But now you're remembering. You're remembering that emotional safety is not boring, that honesty is not too much to ask, that consistency is not the absence of passion, but the presence of peace. You're remembering that real love feels like exhale, like clarity, like alignment, like home, and to receive that you must first become that. Become the woman who no longer tolerates half love. Become the woman who doesn't mistake butterflies for anxiety. Become the woman who would rather be alone in her truth than entangled in confusion. This is your work. To step back into your center, to stop leaking energy into men who never asked for your depth, to call your spirit home. Visualize it now, you, standing in a room of mirrors, each one reflecting a version of you that once begged, chased, overgave, stayed. You walk past them gently. You thank them. You forgive them, but you do not return to them. Because now, there is a new mirror, and this one shows you what's possible. A woman fully in her power. A woman who chooses her peace over her patterns. A woman who no longer runs toward love, but attracts it effortlessly through her frequency. You are that woman. You've always been that woman. You just forgot for a while. You just got tangled in someone else's silence. You just confused love with labor. But now you're clearing the noise. And from this stillness, this sacred pause, you're rewriting the story. Not because you've become colder, not because you've given up on love, but because you've returned to your truth. You are no longer available for emotional unavailability. You are no longer a match for uncertainty, for absence, for almost. You are available only to love that matches your clarity, to a heart that speaks the same language as yours, to a connection that feels like peace, not a puzzle. And when that love arrives, because it will, you will recognize it not by the fireworks, but by the calm, by the way your nervous system relaxes, by the way you don't have to perform, by the way you feel safe seeing chosen. Not because you tried harder, but because you finally believed you deserve it.